What's up guys, it's Mrs. Invest. I'm here, different background, on the beautiful island of Maui, Hawaii, and in this video I'm going to share my best tips for you to travel to Hawaii as a Canadian, which is super expensive, especially for me coming all the way from the East Coast without going broke. I've been to Hawaii a couple times now and I feel like I've really nailed down how to save as much money as possible without sacrificing your experience. And to me, Hawaii is the most peaceful and beautiful place on earth. It has the cleanest air, cleanest water, the trade winds. I mean, it's something that honestly money can't buy, but it definitely helps to not completely blow out your budget when going on vacation. So stick around. I'm going to talk about everything from the planes, accommodation, food, activities, everything that I've learned in the literal hours I've spent in planning my Hawaiian vacations. So let's get right into it. Now for me, Hawaii is all about time here. The first time I came to Hawaii, I stayed for 7 days, and honestly it just wasn't long enough. By the time you adjust to the time zone and just settle in, you're already turning around and going home, especially for such a long trip from the East Coast. So now with a little bit more wisdom and trips under my belt, I am staying here for over 2 weeks for the price that I used to spend only staying 1 week, with no loss of experience, just from no loss of fun experience while I'm here. I don't feel like I'm pinching pennies, and it's just with a little bit of knowledge of what to do and what not to do. So I hope if you guys are thinking about going to Hawaii, you can take some of these tips and help save yourself some money so that if you have a budget, you can stay here longer for the same amount of money. Okay, next is accommodation. Now this is by far outdoor filming, am I right? By far this is the most expensive expense and what you're going to spend the most money on, and this is also where I think you can save the most amount of money. So tip number one, which is essential, is to start looking 1 year in advance. So it's February right now. I know it's incredible that this is February, but I started looking after, well, we didn't go last year, but the year before. Once the vacation was over, I started looking for accommodations for the next year. So this is essential. I would say start looking a year before, and you should have an accommodation booked by, I would say, no later than 9 months prior to your trip. So there's not that many affordable accommodations on Hawaii, and of course most people are not coming and wanting to spend $1,000 a night, so the stuff that is affordable gets snapped up right away. So definitely keep refreshing. I personally booked our accommodations here on Airbnb, and I'll link the listing to the Airbnb that we stayed at in the description as long as we're out of here before this is uploaded, which we should be. But it's pretty funny because about a couple weeks before we left, I went back on Airbnb. I hadn't been in months because I had already booked stuff way before, and I went to go on and see oh, maybe there's some last minute deals, maybe people canceling with the variant and everything. And for the price that we paid per night, which was about $200 Canadian per night at this Airbnb, which is insanely cheap. The only thing you could get within the $200 range, so $201 up to $299, below $300, was a literal camper van. So renting a van with a mattress in the back. So this brings me into my second tip, which I feel like is very Hawaii specific, and that is there are no last minute deals on Hawaii. They do not exist. So don't think that if you're wait to book the night before, you are going to be saving money. There's limited accommodations here. Everything gets booked up, and you are going to be spending so much more for worse accommodations if you wait until the last second. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't consider. That may not be true for other vacation destinations. You might be able to get last minute deals. That does not exist here, and the earlier you book, the more money you will save. So I'm here at the Fairmont Key Resort, and I mean, there's no doubt that this place is gorgeous. Just have a look around. But these hotel rooms, here's the balconies up there, they are $1,000 a night, and I don't even know if it's $1,000 Canadian or US. I've actually forgotten, but it doesn't matter. In either currency, it's crazy. 5 nights here is going to cost you $5,000, and I think the thing is it's pretty hard to find a place in Hawaii that isn't gorgeous. So anywhere you look, even if you're in the most rundown area, it's still beautiful. And the beach is just beyond there, Popsicle. And beaches are public access, so even if you're not staying at this hotel, you can still come and use this beach. We went surfing there yesterday. So I think that's just something to keep in mind. when you Google for Hawaiian hotels, they'll make you believe that, you know, these are really your only options. If you're looking in Kihei or Wailea, you have the Fairmont Key Landing here and you have the Grand Wailea, and both of them are over $1,000 a night. But if you get a little creative and you book well in advance, you can still find affordable accommodations in what's possibly the most expensive place to vacation in all of the United States. Now in comparison, here's the Airbnb that we're staying at. If we're out of here by the time I post the video, I'll put the address below and link the listing to the Airbnb in the description. But it's a super beautiful place. I mean, like, in my opinion, equally as beautiful as the Fairmont, and it's tucked away from the road. It's super quiet and peaceful. There's 3 pools, a barbecue area, and you're just minutes from the beach. I don't really know that you could ask for much more, especially for the price difference compared to the hotel. So just with a little bit of planning, I think you can have just as nice of an experience and save yourself so much money. Literally for 5 nights here, we're spending the same amount as 1 night in the Fairmont. So I don't think you can really complain about that. Honestly, I feel like our unit is more private than any unit at the Fairmont, where you look out of your lanai and you're seeing, you know, other tourists walking around. So yeah, we really lucked out with this place. All right, now we're in the Airbnb unit now, and just to show you, this is the view from the lanai. It's literally a forest. It's so private. There's no noise. There's no other units across from this forest. Like I said, you can literally walk around naked, and I'm just gonna be silent for a minute just so you can hear the birds. Like, it's truly incredible, and to get this privacy and beautiful view on a lanai for 200 Canadian a night, I think is a total steal. So check the birds out. Okay, enough of my face. I'm gonna give you guys a nice golf course mountain view, and this is right behind this Airbnb that we're staying at that I've been talking about. So the next thing is food. Now, food is another huge expense in Hawaii. I would actually say it's your second biggest expense, even compared to the plane. So accommodation first and then food. Now, in my experience, this really depends. If you have an Airbnb that has its own kitchen, getting groceries and cooking yourself is really good, but groceries are also like insanely expensive here. So honestly, I find it's kind of getting to the point that like getting your own groceries and cooking your own meals is almost as expensive as getting food out. It's probably cheaper than going to restaurants, but that brings me to my next point, which is food trucks. The food truck scene on Maui is amazing. I've been to the Big Island. That back there is Haleakala, by the way, the mountain. And Big Island didn't have that many food trucks. It was more restaurants, but Maui, there's food trucks all over the place, and you can get a really good, like a huge plate of food for like $11 to $13, which is definitely cheaper than going to the grocery store and cooking yourself, and honestly more fun as well. So in my experience here, what we do is we kind of get stuff for our own breakfasts and cook our own meals for breakfast. And then we're usually at the beach all day. We'll have some mangoes and chips or something, and for like during the day, and then we'll go out to a food truck and have like a big meal that way, especially in this Airbnb because this one didn't have a kitchen. But food trucks are definitely something to look into. There's literally everything you can possibly, like every possible cuisine they have in a food truck, and the pricing on them is so affordable compared to going either to a restaurant or buying your own groceries. Okay, and the next expense is plane rides or getting here. Obviously, it's in the middle of the ocean. Every time I fly here, I'm shocked at how far it is, even once you're on the West Coast, like either leaving from Vancouver or LA or San Francisco. Like, Hawaii's not just like, you know, a little island off the coast. Like, you are way out there. You're halfway to Australia. So I think we paid for the trip like in the 400s from the East Coast, and that's probably as far as you can get in Canada to get to Hawaii. So if you're leaving from Toronto or Vancouver or, you know, Alberta, wherever, like it's gonna be way cheaper. So honestly, this one is easy. Just don't travel at peak travel season. This kind of goes along with don't have kids, because, you know, a lot of people can only travel during like March break, and the summer kids ruin everything. Am I right? Just kidding. Don't be offended. But yeah, we travel in off-peak season. Like we left here end of January, we're here a little bit more through February, and you're gonna get the best deals that way. So that's really easy. There's not much to say. Don't travel peak season. Oh, the other thing about planes, this is an opposite to the hotel, is don't book the planes so early at the same time you book your Airbnb. So let's say you're booking your Airbnb or your accommodations 9 months in advance. If you book your plane 9 months in advance, you are going to get incessant emails from Air Canada telling you that your flights have been canceled, your flights have been changed, because you just booked too early. So get your accommodations booked early and then book your plane like 2 months or so before you leave, so that way there's like less chance that you're gonna have your flight path interrupted, which is really annoying and kind of stressful. Okay, and last category is activities. Now here in Hawaii, these are the things that I think are actually really worth spending your money on. And if you can get affordable accommodations and don't go crazy with food, you can feel good about spending more money in this category. Like, you're here for the experiences, right? So the things that I think are really worth spending money on, if you're a swimmer, would be like a tour snorkel excursion. Now you can rent snorkel gear from a lot of the local shops and just kind of jump in yourself, but I have never done this. I've only gone on tours, and there's a couple reasons why I wouldn't just jump in myself. Number one, you're alone, or at least whoever you're with, you guys are kind of alone, so there's no one to help you if anything goes wrong. You don't really know where to jump in, and often in areas of the ocean, there's a little small section a couple meters wide where it's like pristine snorkeling. There's turtles everywhere, and then if you go a couple meters to the left, you're all of a sudden in this strong current and you could literally get sucked in or swept into the ocean. So you really have to respect the ocean when you're here. It's so strong, it's powerful. I was surfing the other day and I literally was getting thrown around like I weighed 10 pounds. Like, it's incredible, the power of water. So going on a guided tour, they're really not that expensive. They were cheaper on the Big Island. They were about like $130 for a 5-hour snorkel excursion. Here in Maui, everything's more expensive. It was about $180 per person. And for 5 hours of a boat ride and a snorkel, I think it's pretty reasonable, honestly, especially if you consider that everything is super expensive here and it's basically a full day activity. So not only do you get the guided tour and you get a boat ride, you get safety, which is number one. You don't want anything to happen to you while you're out here, and I definitely think a good snorkel trip is worth the money. Another thing that's super cheap you can do if you're a strong swimmer and you're comfortable in open water is rent either a surfboard, or if you don't know how to surf, definitely a boogie board. It's kind of like a dummy surfboard without like the tips of the surfboard cut off. So it's kind of like a little rectangular box basically, and it's really good for bodyboarding. And I'll link below where we rented ours in Kihei. It's super affordable. For one day it was $6.95, so it was a great price. We were literally at the beach all day, and we just had a blast, and for only $6, like, what else can you really ask for? I'm trying to think of other excursions that are worth the money. Big Island specifically, going into the Volcanoes National Park, it'll cost you $30 to get in, and again, it's a full day activity. You could actually spend 2 days there, and most admissions will get you, like to any of the national parks, they'll get you admission for 2 days in a row. So it's basically like 2 days of full hiking or doing whatever you want per car at the national parks. So Volcano National Park is in the Big Island in Volcano, Hawaii, and in Maui you're looking at Haole National Park, and you can easily spend 2 days there as well, so not too expensive. Another thing which I just learned about the other day is sunset cruises. So if you're coming here on a little romantic getaway, or even if you're with your buddies, who cares, like, it would be fun to do anyway, is do a sunset cruise. So they're usually about 2 hours, and they serve you open bar and appetizers, or pupus, P-U-P-U as they're called in Hawaiian. And the price on Maui for a 2-hour sunset, like, cocktail cruise they're called, is $85 per person, which may sound like a lot, but we really wanted Mai Tais because we never had any, shockingly, the last time we were here, and Mai Tais are like the quintessential Hawaiian alcoholic drink. And we were looking up some places in Kihei and Wailea that had good reviews on really good Mai Tais, and we realized one of the places, the Monkey Pod Kitchen, their Mai Tais are $16 each, and then we realized, we were like, if the Sunset Cruise has an open bar, so let's say you're gonna have like at least 2 drinks probably, plus appetizers, which again, at a restaurant, appetizers are super expensive. They're probably like $20 a pop. You're essentially getting the boat ride like almost for free, and you get the beautiful view and you get to see the sunset. So I think if you want to drink and you want to, you know, have some fun, whether it's like romantic or just fun with your friends, definitely do a sunset cruise, because I feel like they're undercharging for open bar and appetizers and a boat ride at 80 bucks. Okay, I want to make a quick segment here on Souvenirs. Now, Souvenirs in Hawaii, the ABC stores, it's literally like ABC, the letters, are really good. They have really affordable prices on like t-shirts and just like kind of, I don't want to say tacky, but like, you know, those typical souvenir things like keychains. But if you want to get like really intricate pieces like this wooden turtle that we found today, and it even says Hawaii on it. Now this thing is heavy. He is solid wood. We got this at a thrift store. Now, it's no surprise, in Hawaii there are a lot of rich people everywhere, and being that it's so far from the mainland, people come and go and move and go back to the mainland all the time, and honestly it's amazing what rich people throw away. So if you are looking for super good, you know, Hawaiian pieces, definitely check a thrift store before you leave. Now I'll link the thrift store we went to in the comments, or in the description. I forgot the name of it, but we got this turtle, or honu in Hawaiian, for $50, and these pieces literally go for hundreds to upwards of over $1,000, because I mean they're worth it. Like, this is hand carved out of wood. It's so heavy and it's in pristine condition. I almost fell down when I saw this in the thrift store. And you know, of course thrift stores are all about luck, but if you're looking for like paintings, Hawaiian paintings, or you know, wood pieces like this, definitely check out a thrift store before you spend over $1,000 on a piece of artwork at any of like the fancy tourist shops, because I can't emphasize enough, it is amazing to me what rich people throw away. And I'm so happy I found him. I'm gonna have him forever, and every time I look at him I will think of Hawaii. And even look, the islands are carved onto his shell. It's really an incredible piece, and I always wanted one of these, but I just couldn't justify spending over $1,000 on a wooden turtle. So let me know, guys. I know this was kind of a different video, but if you see my banner on my channel, one of the things I love to do the most is travel. Like, I'm most at peace when I'm able to just relax in paradise and just take some time off and chill. Like, that's what life's all about, right? Like, what's the point of killing ourselves so hard? I'm not about that, you know, grind until you drop dead. We have to enjoy life. Like, I could trip over a gecko tomorrow and die. Like, you never know what's going to happen to you, and you have to enjoy this earth while we're here on it. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of video. Let me know if you've ever been to Hawaii, if you have any extra tips, or if you are thinking of going. I have a pretty good, I've only ever been to Big Island and Maui. I have a pretty good kind of grasp though at what is kind of the best thing on all the islands. So if you're curious about, you know, which island would be best to visit, comment below and I'll respond what, you know, my opinion is of based on what you're looking for and what you want out of your vacation. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. It might be from Hawaii again. Bear with me, by the way, with the video. You know, I'm on an iPhone. Like, I have no filming setup here at all. So sorry if it was shaking a little bit. But I'll see you in the next one. Might be from Hawaii, might not be. I'm not sure. But I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.